All right, other people may join. Corey will be here in a little bit, but thank you so much for joining. Happy 2026 to all of you. Hope you're keeping warm. If you're all local to the area, good luck overnight. I think it's going to be, 19 below starting tomorrow. So that's going to be very interesting. Well, welcome here. We are Cloud Native Madison. I'll talk about who we are for those that might be new. We're organizers here. I am Ryan Etten. I am a senior architect with Red Hat, certified architect as well. And Corey Sherman is one of our organizers. He's an AI systems architect with Claritev. Previously was a AI platform engineer and architect for UW-Madison and the research teams. And then with us as well is Shantanu Majumdar. Shantanu, you want to say anything about yourself, or should we move along?
Yeah, I'm
cool. Take it away.
Enterprise architect at Navitas, which is in town. Before that, I was working for Pegasystems, which is the workflow automation company. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So today, I just want to talk a little bit about who the CNCF is, just a baseline for those that are new. Talk about our community group here, look back again at 2025 and the growth that we've had in the last year and a half. Our group started around COVID and then kind of went dormant for a little while, and we reactivated it around October of 2024. So we'll look at that growth from then until now. Talk about the Cloud Native Campfire series that we are running to kind of help keep a healthy cadence with what we are giving back to the community. Corey will then talk about the Agentic AI Foundation that is new as of December, I believe, spearheaded by OpenAI, Diagrid, a whole bunch of other gold partners. So we'll kind of peek into that, and then Diagrid will take it away at the end and talk about reliable AI, cloud workflow, orchestration, and a lot of cool things there. Then we'll just end the floor with some Q&A. As always, with all of our CNCF meetings, we abide by the code of conduct. Really, that just distills down to be a good person. If you have any issues, though, however, reach out to any of the organizers or the CNCF directly, and we'll be sure that gets corrected. The Cloud Native Computing Foundation, if you do not know who they were founded in 2015. They host a lot of the critical components of all of our global infra technology. There's about 230 active projects as of November last year, 275,000 global contributors, 759 member organizations, anywhere from Fortune 50 to Fortune 500 companies, or even smaller local companies as well. And they host those events, KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. The upcoming event in March for 2026 is in Amsterdam that we're gearing up for. Last November, early November, we were at KubeCon North America in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're able to share a bunch of success that we had. We had a spot on the floor to kind of talk about what we've been working on in our local community. Corey and I also were able to give a talk and bring a UW-Madison success story. So kind of a testament to the impact that we have on the local community, bringing that back to a global stage. So about 40 seconds here. Here's just a list. Sure if the sound came through, but yeah, so that's really what we represent here on the local stage. So we are trying to funnel down the massive KubeCon type event scale to a local community, Cloud Native Community Days, or other type events. So those are the larger quarterly events that we're trying to achieve as well here locally. So who we are with that local art global reach, we connect all of our Madison builders to that global CNCF community and other local industry leaders. We help you navigate the modern stack that's out there now. So we do a whole bunch of knowledge exchange through series of chats, circles, and connects that we'll talk about later with that Campfire series, and really bridging that intersection of the cloud native and open source ecosystem that's really driving the modern industry forward today. We do all that through the openness and inclusivity. So we have a vendor neutral space that really, for our local community, is to democratize the state-of-the-art patterns that everybody can leverage and use and really understand the power of open. Looking back in 2025, technically since October 2024, we've had 400 total members, 170 joined in this last year. We hosted 5 events, and as of now, in the bottom right-hand corner, we're excited to announce that Solo.io, is our new diamond sponsor for 2026 that made a significant investment in carrying forward the future vision that we have for our local community. We hosted our largest in-person C10CF event last October. This was a celebration of 10 years of Cloud Native and CNCF. We had Solo.io. Nick, who's on this call, was one of our speakers. We had Grafana Labs there from the observability side, gave a talk. Devtron from India talked about their Kubernetes orchestration platform. And we had a great turnout, about 30, 40 people. Most of them were very new to Cloud Native and was really excited to start to grow that footprint locally as well. In addition to that event, we also had the opportunity to host a sub-track for open source at the UW-Madison Hackathon. About 150 students showed up for that and had a 48-hour turnaround where we judged a sub-track and gave away a few CNCF certifications to the winners of those that demonstrated the best use of open source tools. And our champion didn't sleep, I think, for about 30 hours and immersed himself in the open world and just had fun. So we changed a lot. That was pretty cool. It looks like we have Corey there joining. Hey, Corey, good to see you. Corey's our other organizer. Do you want to get connected and introduce yourself real quick?
Hey, my name's Corey, another Cloud Native Madison organizer. Previously worked with the university, built their AI DP, and now I'm with Claritative working on some AI agent work. Very love the CNCF, very happy to be here, and hoping to really commit more time now that I've been onboarded at the new company for the last 3 months and really try to kick it off. I think this, I don't know if this meeting was a little rushed, but it's kind of really cold to get it in person. So hopefully spring we can attract far more individuals once the weather's nice, but very excited to be a part of this in pushing the CNM, Cloud Native Madison's objectives. So hello, everyone.
Thanks for joining. We're just kind of touching back, looking back in the last calendar year, what we were working on. Talked about KubeCon NA and our presence there, and talked about the open source sub-track. We're going to hope this next year, we're going to still partner with UW-Madison. We partner with Transcend UW, which is the student venture capital group that hosts a $50,000 annual competition, pitch competition. They are also partnered with the UW Tech Exploration Lab, and we are going to work with them again this year to actually bring a dedicated open source track, not a sub-track. So stay tuned for that. A lot of reach with UW-Madison and an extension hopefully into the MadHacks Wisconsin Global Hackathon, Wisconsin Local Hackathon as well. Also, the impact of our community, like I mentioned right at the beginning, Corey and I gave a talk and talked about the lightweight observability with UW management and their fleet of research clusters at Observability Day at KubeCon. So we are here to just learn from the community, figure out what everybody is using, how they want to show and share their successes, and then bring those to the global stage. All of this is underpinned by our Chat, Circle, and Connect program. There's a relaunch here of what we're referring to as Cloud Native Campfire, just a creative way as we hunker down in the winter months to kind of get a different cadence of trying to expand our reach here locally. So we're going to have a series of chats for connecting, troubleshooting. Now, because of the growth from last year, we've activated LinkedIn Live. So we're going to start to level up our programming a little bit and take advantage of LinkedIn Live for bi-weekly or monthly chats. These are going to be the equivalent of a fireside chat. No prep, just there for the community to have just unscripted conversations, come in and say, hey, I'm working on this, I have a question. Our organizers could be on the bridge to help you through that. Or, hey, our company's interested in sponsoring. Where do I find this? Or I want to speak at a conference. What does that process look like? That is the purpose of those. We'll then have circles, which is where we are today. The January circle, when you see circle, that's just going to be an industry or local demonstration of what the community is working on. Diagrid, for example, is an example of where we bring in a company to kind of promote what they're working on and how that would bring benefit to your companies. And then, like Corey had mentioned, while we're virtual now, the C10CF that we had last October is the flagship event that we like to bring. We're aspiring to do that quarterly, but we'll get there, and we'll see how that cadence works once we grow. So that is our flagship event: hands-on workshops, hackathons, great food, catering. We had Qdoba last time, and about 6 or 7 talks, I think, over. So stay tuned for that. And we'll kind of ping pong around the city as well, east side, west side, downtown, just to try to figure out what works best for everybody and find our way as we go. And this QR code, you'll be brought to our link tree, figure out a little bit more about us, join our Slack, find our company page on LinkedIn. You've probably found our community CNCF group just by the fact that you're here today in RSVP. From a sponsor perspective, again, submit your ideas and go through the CFP questions there as well. And at this point, Corey, I said I'd give you a total 20 after, but I lied. You've got 13 after. I'll hand it over. Corey's got some stuff to talk about on the new AI Foundation, Agentic AI Foundation.
So with the people we have here, I'm not sure if we want to just flip it on its head, and maybe just have discussions. Brittany, you're a new face. Can I ask who you are?
Yeah, I'm Brittany. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I'm Brittany. I am in Janesville now. I just recently moved there. That is some getting used to from Madison. I actually moved to Wisconsin in February of last year from California. So I have a pretty big tech presence. I've been in the tech industry for three and a half years, going on 4. I do developing. I'm a full stack developer. I am in school right now for AI software engineering and an aspiring robotics programmer. So I would like to pretty much build my own robot and program it as well. I do mess with agents right now using Gym, and I've created 2 gyms right now, and it's pretty awesome. It's like my digital twins. So I really enjoy that, and I'm excited about getting started with Cloud Native. And that would probably be it.
Awesome. That's very cool. Is it a pretty big life change going from California to Wisconsin?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's okay though. The only thing I'm trying to get used to is the weather.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And this is the nice time of the year, right? So.
Oh yeah, this is a great time. But yeah, I actually came last year in February, so I got a piece of it early, so I got that over with.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'll hop right in, and now that we kind of see who's all involved, I think maybe there's room for good technical discussions. But so the slides that I have ready is just to kind of bring to light the announcement that the Linux Foundation did about the Agentic AI Foundation. So I've essentially disseminated this information throughout my current organization. I'm pushing to try to get the company to be a silver membership, but we have a lot of AI scientists that are really excited. A lot of them have won global awards and whatnot. And right now, it's just the introductions to this potentially brand new Agentic AI Foundation that might be the start of exactly what the CNCF was and how Kubernetes changed the world. And is there a way for me to do the next slide?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Yep. And so came out of this was what? So there's three contributions that came out. It was MCP from Anthropic. It's Agents. Is it Agents MD and Goose? I forget the companies that did that. I think it was OpenAI did one of them. But it's more the purpose of this is more just to bring to light if people weren't already aware of this brand new ecosystem that is just getting started. So I am trying to get involved as much as possible. I've reached out to some of the contacts I have at the Linux Foundation. It's still in the very early stages. The announcement was December 9th. They do have a GitHub channel. They don't have any kind of Slack or community chat. However, in the CNCF Slack, there's about like maybe 8 total Agentic AI working groups, interoperability, security, and a couple others that I could technically pull up and find. But the whole purpose is to really bring some of the people in the industry together to start answering some of those hard questions that Nick and and I'm sorry, Yaron. I don't know how to pronounce your name. If you'd be kind enough to correct me.
Yeah, it's fine. You're wrong.
Yaron. Yeah.
Yes.
So I asked Yaron to join and speak about what he's doing, because I think that company has some really phenomenal tooling available that is exactly kind of what we're seeing in the industry. And the reason why I'm so involved is because the company I work for is just, they have a strategic initiative to push AI agents and agentic AI as fast as humanly possible. Unfortunately, some of the work is not even AI related, but we're trying to increase the velocity. And I've been trying to get the company to get, and anybody who wants to get fully involved with this Agentic AI Foundation, the second we can figure out how to. Right now, that's been kind of a problem. So that's also up kind of for this community to probably help cater and target its involvement. But yeah, Ryan, if you could switch. A lot of what I've been seeing lately. So we have Nick here from Solo.io that has a AI gateway product. I think it's called, is it Cagent Gateway? And kind of, so what I've been seeing with the AI gateways, it appears to be there's somewhat of a, I now see 2 AI gateways. One, I think more, I don't know if I'd call it a traditional gateway, but definitely more coming from the operations and infrastructure side is where I see a gateway. And then where I'm also seeing an AI gateway coming more from the application side and LLM side. So what I'm currently looking into at my job is if we need both. So there's some like prompt, and there's some blockers, some scanners based off of what the specific AI agent or agentic AI is doing. That it appears to me that there's a little bit of a fork going on with some of the products that are out there. And then another item is that's just I think absolutely huge on the chopping block is agent identities, and we see multiple products going with different capabilities, and I would call it kind of coming from school of thought, where we're seeing similar to the AI gateway stuff, the mergers of kind of application based solutions and infra operations platform based solutions. And I don't know if there's any, I don't think there's any right answer yet, but definitely when you get into production and federal regulations, this is a huge topic. I'm literally gonna be in a meeting either today or tomorrow to start to really digest what is suitable for the company I work for. Second, AI agents and agentic AI. AI agents just being small. Well, you don't necessarily have to say small, but more specific task oriented, and then the agentic AI being far broader scope, potentially multiple agents working in tangent, having executable components with human in the loop or no human in the loop. But definitely two branches of thought depending on the use case or solution we're solving. In regard to productionization, I hope that wasn't a copy and paste for me. I think that's a Z, but that could have been my.
Yeah, that was definitely me. I just thanks for calling it out. I saw that too. So hopefully nobody notices it. Yeah, it's all right away. Got to write the title though. So yeah.
So what we're seeing right now, literally this afternoon, is a lot of observability, a lot of agent identity components, really building kind of a, what do we call it? Like an observability manifesto, where we keeping in line with minimum viable observability to reduce our costs, but having the ability to increase observability needs based off of the use case. But with the productionization, I'm really starting to see 3 different observability owners, all coming from traditional SRE, then which is I think just predominant, and then with AI engineering, building in specific code into these AI agents, as well as some of the AI scientists needing some like tracing, model performance, accuracy, that kind of stuff. So what I'm really seeing to productionize this is there is currently in the industry, I haven't seen anybody that can do all 3 observability layers. So I've right now we're separating them out. However, as time goes on and as we evolve, like maybe we'll get an SRE that can do the full stack. But at this present, where I currently work, that's just not feasible. Opportunities and potential impact. I don't know if I had any notes on this one. I think this one is more targeting the Agentic AI Foundation itself, and seeing where it will go, getting all of the schools of thought together, developers, operations. There was a big MCP hack, like 6 months ago or so, where they leveraged MCP for unethical reasons, but we'll start to just like we saw with the CNCF, we'll start to see the productionization and guardrails and golden paths coming out this year. I mean, definitely 2026. Next slide, please. Yep, and I think this is just the last slide. Getting involved and understanding kind of the big community questions. I know, and I mean, things have moved so fast. It is very hard to stay updated. Right now, we're definitely bogged down in the deployment area. It has nothing to do with any AI agent at all. It just has to do with the operational capacity that my company currently has. But within probably this quarter, I told leadership we can increase our velocity by 950%. So I put my name on that. So once we tackle some of these operational issues, we can actually start to get to AI operations. But right now, it's really seeing kind of if you don't have a good pipeline, if you haven't read what the internal development platform is, and leveraging golden paths instead of gatekeepers, it is very hard to get these products out the door. I think I've annotated at least 30 blockers or gatekeepers that prevent us from moving at the velocity that I'm used to. But once those operational bottlenecks are removed, the way you can innovate and tackle the challenges with productionizing the agentic AI. I mean, we're right in the middle of the AI revolution. So there's just no telling what the potential impact is going to be. Everybody at my company is definitely, when I first started here, like, everybody's worried, and I'm like, guys, like, I need you all. Like, I can't do it all by myself. So we have no idea where it's going, but it's going with or without us. I think that wraps up my presentation.
Terrific. Yeah, thanks for the overview. Any questions? Again, we'll try to keep this as interactive as you want it to be. So if there's any questions, we'll open up the floor. So it's not too much of a webinar. If not, I'll pause there. Any questions from anyone? Good info, Corey. Very valuable. I did forget to mention when I was talking about the code of conduct is these are recorded meetings. So if anybody has a concern that their camera is on when we do post the video, just drop me a chat now or reach out to me personally, and I'll crop us out for this time since I forgot to share that. Otherwise, all these recordings will be there for the community to look back, which is why Yaron being here today is invaluable to those trying to get a footing and a head start here in general. So.
And I would like to apologize. I normally get out a lot of. I normally what would you say, Ryan? I normally do a lot of marketing for these events, and I because I'm onboarding with the new organization, I was unable to get a lot of the marketing we do for these events. So that is completely my fault, and I'm sorry, but I at least like everybody here. So not that I wouldn't. But
the turnout is the turnout is not a reflection of lack of anything that we did on our end. That's why the value of us recording will help us look back and continue to grow. And we're always looking for help to that end. So I don't know if you intentionally did that, but great plug. If anybody else wants to step up, help us with some organizing activities, be more involved. Those are exactly the opportunities that we're looking for. We will meet you where you are on any side of things. So marketing, open source, you name it. Any involvement is terrific involvement. So. With that, thank you again to Solo.io. We have about 30 minutes left. I think for continuity's sake, it might be easier to end here and just ask if there's any questions about the community, and then I'll hand it off to your own to just take it until the end. So any questions for anybody new, particularly might just be Brittany, feel free to say no, but if there are any questions, I'll open the floor now. Otherwise, hand it off to your own to finish this up. Going once, twice.
Sure.
You got something. All right. Put a little pressure on you. What do you got?
Oh, it's okay. It's funny because my dad used to say all the time, like, if you don't ask questions, you don't know. The question would be, how do I get involved? Who do I contact? I would like to help out in any way that I can based off of like my schedule with school, and I'm part of a design committee. So, I could do what I can to help out, obviously not to crash myself or anything like that. But yeah, that would be great. Just putting that out there so you guys know, I know you guys are building up here for Madison area, not too far away. So just keep that in mind.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Yeah, as a part of the CNCF, the hierarchy there, as you get more familiar, they have what are known as technical advisory groups, and those are security and compliance, TAG security and compliance, TAG platform engineering, observability, and they meet bi-weekly, and those open meeting notes are open to everybody. You can chime in and see what that is. So that is one of the things that we will work on. Right now, we have a private organizer repo. We will start to make more of that public as we get a little bit more of a concrete pattern of what we need some help with, and then we'll continue that conversation. So yeah, thank you for the offer. Once we kind of develop that a little bit more, we will post it, let you know where that is, and feel free to just pick up whatever you're able to contribute, and we'd love to have the help. So cool.
Great. Thank you for the insight.
All right. Absolutely. All right. Yaron, at this point, I believe I set up the meeting correctly that you are also a presenter. All of us are. So feel free to hijack the screen and Tell us what you
Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
again for being here. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Corey, for inviting me. Really happy to be. I'll introduce myself shortly. My name is Yaron Schneider. I am the CTO and co-founder of Diagrid. I've been involved with cloud native technology in CNCF for a while now. I worked at Microsoft for 5.5 years before starting Diagrid in January of 22, where I mostly focused on open source technologies and serverless container platforms. I created 2 CNCF projects. Both of them are graduated, KDA and Dapr, and the Diagrid were the main maintainers of Dapr today. And I'll be talking about, what Dapr is, what problem solves in a second, and how it also relates to AI as we're seeing it today. At Microsoft, before leaving, I had the pleasure of being the platform engineering lead for Azure Container Apps, which is kind of like the Google Cloud Run equivalent for Microsoft. And there, I had the displeasure and also pleasure of learning how to run 5,000 Kubernetes clusters at scale in production. So that taught me a lot, for sure. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, a lot of sleepless nights, but it just taught me a lot. And I think a lot of what we're seeing with Kubernetes and containers, especially in the early days, is really applicable to AI. I basically call AI agents essentially microservices with LLMs, and I think that's what they are. And at Diagrid, we're all about providing the reliability layer for AI agents. So we're focusing on durable execution, workflow orchestration for AI, and then making sure that if AI agents fall off for whatever reason, cloud outage, network outage, even a simple bug, that they pick back up where they left off. And this is, I think, really crucial to where people are taking AI workloads today from just being toys and experiments running on people's machines into Kubernetes and production systems. So I'm going to share my screen, and please let me know when you can see it. I'm going to need verbal confirmation.
Looks perfect on my end.
Yeah. All right, great. So let's start with Dapr, because that's the basis of what we're going to be talking about today. Dapr is an CNCF project. We started at Microsoft, me and my Diagrid co-founder, Mark Fussell, and we worked at the Azure CTO team under Mark Rusinovich, the CTO of Azure, and we were essentially tasked with finding gaps in developer-facing technologies in the new era back then in 2018 of Kubernetes and containers. Basically when Kubernetes won over established platforms, like Mesos and Docker Swarm. And we really went on this assignment. We were like, hey, look, there's the CNCF, and it's really focused on infrastructure and monitoring and network and service meshes. But application developers who basically outnumber DevOps people by probably a 10-to-1 ratio in a team are left to their own devices to navigate in this new world. And so we've come up with this project that gained a lot of traction the moment it hit public GitHub, called Dapr. And Dapr is essentially a toolbox for developers to focus on their business logic and not focus on reinventing the wheel when it comes to really difficult distributed systems challenges. So this is really about how do you take distributed systems at scale and make them production ready with built-in practices and golden paths, right? So if we look at platform engineering, it's mostly focused on how you provide golden paths for creating and monitoring infrastructure and securing it, but not how do you actually interact with it. And Dapr is that missing piece. So everything you see here in the middle is a set of building blocks that Dapr provides: workflow orchestration, pub sub, service discovery, state management, cron jobs, secrets fetching, cryptography. Basically, all of those APIs are developer-facing, and you can come into them from pretty much any language. So Dapr is extremely inclusive to all developers. As long as your language can talk HTTP or gRPC, you're good to go, and we have SDKs for all of them. And then Dapr essentially becomes your entry point into the cloud. So a developer doesn't need to worry about, hey, am I doing the right thing talking to this Cosmos DB database or DynamoDB, and do I have enough retries or circuit breakers in place, or am I doing fault resiliency? Okay, Dapr does all of that thing for you. And as a platform team, for example, if you're deploying in multiple clouds, you can actually configure Dapr through YAML to target different infrastructure. So Dapr has this component model where developers use a single API, but then that API can target any form of cloud database. And we have more than 120 community components today. So the state API, for example, can target over 30 different databases. The PubSub API can target over 15 different message brokers and so forth. We're pretty big in the CNCF community. We've contributed the project in 2019, and it became a graduate project in September of 21. We have over 4,000 individual contributors. The community large companies included like Red Hat, Amazon, and HashiCorp are contributing their own components into it. So we really love the community engagement that we're getting. And our Discord community is actually coming up on 9,000 members now. There is some pretty big names who've publicly identified as being Dapr users. We're seeing Dapr being used in pretty much all walks of life. Definitely our favorite deployment of Dapr is in outer space right now by NASA, who's running Dapr on the International Space Station. It's a pretty cool use case where Dapr is providing the messaging backbone for cameras that are integrated on the ISS, taking pictures of astronauts as they do spacewalks to figure out if their gloves and other parts of their spacesuits have any tear and wear, and if they need, replacing next time before they go out on the next spacewalk. Otherwise, they might just slide off the rail, which is undesirable. But then you see Dapr especially strong with financial companies, healthcare, retail, gaming, you name it. So Dapr has all of those building blocks, but in the last year, we found out that a lot of them are really great for AI specifically. And there's just a few I'm going to talk about, not everything in depth, but I'm going to cover specifically workflows. But let me just quickly go over some of those that are emphasized. So workflow, and that's what we're going to cover mostly today, is all about making sure that agents that kick off workflows and complex workflows can pick up where they left off. So if the agent crashes at any point, whether it's because of a cloud outage, just a bug, scale out operation, cluster shutdown, cluster upgrade, you name it, that you don't have to go all the way from the beginning and pay for all of those LLM calls or hug your NVIDIA CPU running locally. PubSub is really great if you have a bunch of agents that you now want to discover each other and connect in a reliable way. Because a lot of agentic frameworks today, right, they're running on a single machine. They're all POCs, most of them are POCs. But when you're actually taking them to production, you need to find a way to have multi-agent meshes, is what we call them, to be able to pass messages. And if one agent is down, then it still needs to get the message once it comes back up. So how do you connect them through a centralized, at least once, message broker? Because this is what PubSub has done for modern architectures for a while. It's very, very beneficial for developers too, but for agents. But how do you actually connect agents to those message brokers? So we found out that the PubSub API fits very neatly into that. Service invocation is an API in Dapr that allows services to discover each other and invoke each other securely. It kind of overlaps with the service mesh. So between the 9 or 10 things Dapr does, this is kind of like the only overlap with the service mesh that Dapr has. But then again, we've also found that it's really great for just agent discovery. State management, I think, is really important. We actually have a bunch of integrations with Strands, LangGraph, and Crow AI for that in particular. The reason is, if you go into, let's take LangGraph, for example, and you look at the plugins they have to save the agent memory, you'll see that they have basically 2 or 3. They've got Redis, which is pretty much the only production-ready one, and then there's Postgres or Redis, and then they have in-memory ones, which are not fit for production. But through the Dapr integrations, you can now pair up Dapr with LangGraph, for example, or Crow AI, and now you can save your data in over 30 different databases, including cloud service managed ones. So this is really great, and you also get retries, timeouts, and a bunch of other things like built-in telemetry when you have those agents saving the session state to those databases. Conversation is an API that abstracts talking to multiple LLMs. There's lots of ways to do that today. For example, LangChain has got lots of great abstraction, and we're actually using LangChain in Dapr internally, but Dapr also adds enterprise features on top of it. One of them, chief, being PII data obfuscation. If you're talking to an external LLM, let's say OpenAI, Anthropic, or even if you have your own trained LLM, you want to make sure that first, if it's a public LLM, that you're not sending any form of PII data, credit card numbers, emails, names, addresses, into the LLM. And if it's your own model that you're training, that if it spits out sensitive data, that it does not find its way back to the user. So with Dapr, you basically set off a single flag and it'll do PII data obfuscation for you. It's not dependent on any form of external service. It's very low latency because it's happening inside of the Dapr process that runs next to your application. And it's generally very, very good also for prompt caching, which basically caches prompts inside of Dapr, so you don't have to be billed for hits and misses at the LLM there. it's great cost because it's great cost saver because you also don't have to pay for the outgoing cost from AWS or whatever your cloud provider is. Then we also have middleware, which gives you authentication, rate limiting for MCP and A2A calls. This plays nicely with MCP and LLM gateways. You can use Dapr solely, for that, or you can have it play well with other solutions. So I'm going to talk about reliability, which is, I think, is the major piece everyone should be paying attention to when they're taking AI agents from experimentation into production. And if we look at the enterprise risk factors, I think the major one, which really is the common denominator for all of them, comes from non-determinism. For the last 40 years, we have written software that is deterministic, and we would like to believe that we are sane people. Whereas if we have a piece of code and we unit test it, we can expect that if we give a certain input, then we're going to get a certain output. And this is why we have unit tests and integration tests, and we can, get a lot of positive mental health benefits just watching from those run and turn green. But with agent workflows and LLMs in general, we're now facing, unparalleled levels of non-determinism. Agents have loops, they have unpredictable retries. Each prompt will cause a bunch of tools to be executed in a non-predictable order, and that's very hard to replay or audit. Then you have agents that can run for hours or weeks, and we're going to see agents that can even run for years, or an agent that will need to hold off a process until a signal comes, and that agent will need to sleep for a year. And what happens if there's a shutdown or a scale-out event for any reason? You really don't want that agent to lose its context. Restarts are normal in today's cloud native ecosystem. Partial failures, you have an agent executing 7 tools, some of them succeed, some of them not. How do you deal with that in production? What does it mean to deal with partial failures? When the side effects have already happened, and how do you actually roll back an agent to its previous state? And when it comes to security and identity, that's a very big gap that I am happy to see a lot of companies try to tackle because it is very important. You've got lots of tools, and people, I think, are missing out on how much an attack surface AI agents can actually open when you connect them to MCP, because an MCP is kind of like a gateway to your digital infrastructure, and just giving an agent unmitigated access into your database is probably not good. And now you're starting to talk about shared or implicit identity on behalf of, you have an agent that might be talking on behalf of another agent, on behalf of a human, and you want to make sure that that agent can only get a slice of your data if it's acting on behalf of other known identities. How do you do that in production, when you have this unclear blast radius? And the thing is that these are not AI-specific problems. These are distributed systems problems, but they're amplified by AI because of non-determinism. And if we look at the agentic framework, they are focusing on the left text here. They're focusing on what's on the left, which is LLM abstraction, reasoning, tool usage, integrating with MCP, roles and responsibilities, very basic workflows, multi-agent collaboration, and then ambient agents, which are agents that are acting on behalf of streams and not necessarily human prompts. But they're missing a lot of things. Guardrails around PII, authentication. MCP is getting a lot of criticism for not, dealing with authentication right inside of the protocol. Roles and responsibilities are great, but then you also need to make sure that you have ACLs and proper authentication authorization in place to make sure that an agent can only do what it needs to do. And when it comes to workflows, pretty much any form of agent framework out there today, whether it's Crew AI or LangChain or Llama Index, they have very simple checkpointing, which works great if you're a single process. But when you start to actually scale that out in Kubernetes, it falls over. And when it comes to multi-agent collaboration, synchronous communication through gateways is great, but what do you do if you have 5 agents and one of them is down, and that agent who called the other agent who's down now receives an error? What's it going to do? How is it going to replay? How is it going to save its state? There is no running away from the fact that agent communication also needs to happen in an asynchronous way through message brokers, because those, like Kafka, have guaranteed delivery, for distributed systems for the past 20 years or so, and we're not going away from that. That is still applicable to AI agents. And then when you need to connect agents to those message brokers, how do you actually do that? Because developers will need to focus on the agents themselves, on the authorization, on the workflows, on the actual business logic. developers do not need to reinvent the wheel and create this platform on top of agents to connect between the agent and the underlying message broker. And so Dapr workflows is something that we use in Dapr to provide the durable execution for all of those workflows. The Dapr project deals with all of those challenges I mentioned earlier, but today we're going to be talking about durable execution because it's our view that this is the most critical aspect today in where we are today as an industry about taking AI agents and making sure that they're actually reliable when it comes to production. So we've got non-deterministic workflows, right? That's the agent loop that we all know, and remains to be seen if we love it or not yet. But that's where prompt, it starts a loop, it reasons about what to do, comes up with a plan, looks into its toolbox, and then does an action, and then rinse and repeat. And that essentially creates a workflow, right? Because it might go, oh, I'm going to use tool 1, 3, and 4 in that order. Once those are done, I'm going to call tool 5, 6, and 7 in parallel, and then I'm going to aggregate, and that's the end of my workflow. And then you have fully deterministic workflows here on the right, which are kind of like, deep research agents, right? Where you know exactly what your workflow needs to do. It's not like it needs to create those dynamically based on the prompt. You know that you have like a scoped plan, then you need to go to the internet, look for sources, read those, extract the data, then write it into a database. And so you need reliability for both of these deterministic and non-deterministic workflows, because if they fail at any given point, the last thing you want to do is start from the beginning. And then imagine you have multi-agent systems, and now you have multiple agents, and each of them can run a deterministic workflow or a non-deterministic workflow or a combination of both in concurrent operations. So you need to provide that at scale. And so why is it so critical? Let's just take a very simple example. This is a RAG, right? Let's say you have an agent that has a sub operation to do RAG, and so you want to basically process 1,000 documents. You give it to the agent, then the agent plans. It needs to find relevant classifiers for the documents. It'll send the relevant text to the LLM, and then it'll store. This is actually a really simplified workflow, right? And then if the final result is valid, it's going to store the data inside the database. But imagine it fails at any given point, and imagine now you have multiple agents, each one kicking multiple workflows, and you're scaling them out. And if you're running thousands of these workflows and workflow number 999 of 1,000 fails, you want to make sure that you're only starting the workflow that failed. And if a workflow has 5 or 10 steps in it and step 9 fails, you want to make sure that you're not starting back all the way from the beginning, because that's a great way to go bankrupt real quickly, especially as agents are dependent on LLMs, and LLMs have huge costs, whether it's paying to an openly public LLM provider or whether you're running your own internally. And so reliability is really, really crucial for this. Earlier in 25, we announced together with NVIDIA Dapr Agents, which is an agentic framework which is part of CNCF that has durable execution pretty much built into it. So you can write agents, and those give you the same features that you'd expect from things like LangGraph and all of those other agent frameworks, but they have workflow orchestration and identity built into them, meaning the agent can run natively on Kubernetes. You can have it run 1,000 steps with hundreds of instances, and if any of those fail, it'll pick back up where it left off, and it'll give you the guarantee that a single workflow execution with a unique ID will not repeat itself. And that is a very, very difficult distributed system challenge to solve, even outside of agents. And Dapr Workflows provides that both for agents and for pretty much any generic business use case. It's cloud native and decoupled from infrastructure, meaning you can bring your own database, your own pub sub-broker, and Dapr agents will make sure to save your data on your selected database and to connect agents using your preferred message broker. You can connect it to pretty much any LLM out there. It's vendor neutral. It's open source with the CNCF, and it's being maintained by Diagrid and NVIDIA, who are using Dapr agents internally. I will also mention Diagrid, my company, is a gold member in AIF. That's exciting. We're actually having our first platinum and gold member meeting in 4 days from now, I think. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be the first meeting inside of AIF. And we really want to bring to the focus and to the fore this concept of providing durable execution and reliability, not just for Dapr agents, but for most agentic frameworks out there. And this is really where we're going with Dapr. You have all of those Dapr primitives, and we want to bring them to all of those agent frameworks, not just Dapr agents. So when developers now need to take, let's say, AWS Trans or Microsoft Agent Framework to production, we don't want them to ask themselves, hey, how do I make sure that my agents are actually reliable in production? How do I connect them to other agents? How do I discover them? How do I save my state? If I'm a Microsoft shop and I need to now save data into Cosmos DB, but Core AI or OpenAI don't support it as a database, and how do I obfuscate data that is going into, for example, Azure AI Foundry or AWS Bedrock? So Dapr is providing all of those primitives, and we are building a lot of first-class integrations, also in partnership with a lot of these companies. So you're going to see a bunch of announcements coming up when it comes to this. So let me just check my timer. I think I have 7 more minutes. How does it look like in practice? Let's say you're deploying LangGraph today. LangGraph focuses a lot on observability, but not on all of those building blocks that we see here. However, if you pair up LangGraph and Dapr, then now suddenly you get proper access control. You can discover agents. You can make sure that LangGraph can actually run in Kubernetes in a very cloud native way, that the same way you'd expect to run processes that discover and invoke each other securely. You get MCP authentication. You get retries and rate limits. And this is just by the virtue of deploying Dapr next to LangGraph. Same thing for Crew AI, Microsoft Agent Framework. We aim to fill the missing gaps when it comes to what those frameworks don't give you out of the box. So with that, I think I'm going to go into a quick demo. And I'm going to show you basically how Dapr workflows work. And this is for an agentic workflow, not for an AI agent. I'm then going to show you an example for what it looks like for an agent. But let's say that they have a deep research agent, like the one I have here. So this is an agent that has a workflow, and let me just show it to you. This is an agent that will get an input, like a topic to research, and then it's going to go out and scope it out, create a plan for exactly what it needs to do to arrive at the answer. It'll search the internet for proper resources. It will read those resources, those URLs. It'll create notes, and then it'll have a small loop here. It'll actually consult with itself whether it needs more data, so it'll review everything that it has. And if it needs more data, it's just going to rinse and repeat the source gathering, node synthesization, and review, and then it's going to generate a final report. So the actual business logic, and this is a fully working code that I can share later, but that's not important. That's just what the agent does. What is important is that this is just regular Python code. There is nothing Dapr specific here. This is the actual business logic I would write if I were using any form of framework out there, Core AI, LangGraph, or whatever. But this is not the important thing. This is just my business logic. You can see there is nothing Dapr specific here. The only thing we need to do is just to make sure that we have this one function, which is wrapped as a workflow, and then we basically define the workflow sequence, right? So this is great because it gives us a clear visual way to see the workflow itself. We have this and this and this, and then the final node. And then we basically call this call activity function from Dapr, and we pass in our business logic. So we basically wrap our existing business logic with this simple activity, and that's the only thing we need to do to make sure that this can run reliably in Kubernetes and also outside of Kubernetes. And if the deep research agent, which is IO heavy and it's making a lot of external calls, fails at any given point in time, let's say that it looped for 500 times and it fails, it will not start from the beginning. It'll start from exactly where it left off. So the only thing that I have left here to show is the topic. I chose, something very simple, like assess the viability and risks of small modular nuclear reactors for grid decarbonization by 2035 in the US. So, elementary school level stuff. We have a Dapr workflow client. We're just initializing the workflow. We're passing in the method of the workflow you saw above, deep research workflow. This is the workflow definition here, and we're basically off to the races. So I have Dapr already installed. The only thing you need to do to actually install Dapr is do Dapr init. I'm not going to do that since that's already installed. So now I'm just going to do Dapr run. Dapr run is a nice CLI. That's for the local development experience. That's going to run this Python file, and it's going to run the Dapr process next to it. So we're starting this, and we can see the Dapr logs here. And now we will get started with the actual workflow. So we can see we're printing out one. I basically went to all of my activities, and you can see that they have these prints here so that we can see exactly which steps we're in. And it's progressing, and now it's going to get to step 4, which is very, very IO heavy. And step 4 is basically to take all of the URLs that are being called or discovered from the internet, and basically reading them and gathering the data. But what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to veer off the happy path, and I've just very violently crashed the process, right? But if I run this thing again, then we can see that it picked back with number 4. And of course, it also started a new workflow, because that's what the code does. It always starts a new workflow. But the amazing thing you can see here is that it immediately picked up on the previous workflow. And so you can just deploy this code to Kubernetes. It can be whatever business logic you want. It can wrap around your existing systems, new systems, any agent framework that you have. And it'll make sure that you don't need to run a single line of code when it comes to figuring out when something failed, how to restart it, how to observe it too, because we've got built-in observability, and how to resume from where it left off. You don't need to do any form of session management, state management. You don't need to serialize state, deserialize state. All of those really difficult problems, especially when it's coming to really difficult work and complex workflows, are being taken care of for you. Now I'm just going to stop this again and open Zipkin real quick. And if we go here, we can see that Dapr essentially talks the OpenTelemetry protocol. I'm just using Zipkin here, which is actually not my favorite way to visualize things. But I'm just going to click on Show, and you can see that we see all of those steps, which is where the workflow has progressed to. So scope, plan, search, we can see exactly how long each took. And we are adding more and more tags from the Open Inference protocol. So Open Inference is this OTel-like specification for AI agents, and unfortunately, that's kind of like progressing outside of the AIF and CNCF. But Dapr is wanting to make sure that we can bring those outside protocols into the CNCF ecosystem too. Anyway, you get that level of observability, and again, you can connect Dapr to AWS X-Ray, Google Stack Driver, Azure Monitor, Grafana, whatever your favorite stack is, and then you'll be able to monitor everything that you have. And this is end of time for me. The one last thing I will show is an example of a Dapr agent. Let me just find it real quick. Which is this.
We courtesy of your time, I'm happy to go on for another 5 minutes for the community if we have questions. But if anybody else does need to drop, just a reminder this is recorded, and so feel free to go. But Yaron, yeah, it's up to you. If you had a few more minutes, I would be willing to continue. But
I do have to drop, so I'd really like to just ask 3 questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
So the 3 questions are, how do you see the Dapr agents connected to an AI gateway? With Fast MCP's beta 1 release that kind of talks about addressing some of the security concerns that was talked about 2 days ago. I'm interested in your thoughts on that matter. And then additionally, there's just a lot of talk about like laying fuse for some observability components, and where this product kind of ties in. I was hoping to hear, what your comments on those 3 questions.
Yeah, I'm going to start with LangFuse. Actually, there's going to be an announcement coming from LangFuse and the Dapr project about an integration between the two. So specifically, Dapr Durable Agents, they integrate fully with LangFuse. Actually, I think I showed a demo of that in the KubeCon talk. All of the telemetry that's going out of a Dapr Durable Agent can find its way into LangFuse, as well as pretty much any telemetry backend. You basically just define an instrumenter, you point at that LangFuse, and it'll just work outside the box. That's when it comes to fast MCP and authentication, those durable agents, what they provide is, the major thing they provide is session management and workflow orchestration. They, just like any other framework, they have tools, and in those tools, we could have business logic that discovers other agents and calls them, right? So whatever your method of discovering other agents is, it can work really well with any form of LLM gateway, because in that tool, like, let's say that tool is to discover another agent, you could just call the LLM gateway directly and do that from your Dapr agent.
Do you see it as a redundant service that you've kind of already solved, or a optimization, or how do you see FastMCP 3.0 with its security target and the Diagrid and Dapr agents? Is there overlap? Is it a optimization, new feature?
I would say it's very, very complementary. Dapr Durable Agents focus on workflow execution and state management primarily, and then pub/sub for connecting agents. Yes, Dapr has a building block where you can Dapprize an MCP server, kind of like how you do an LLM gateway, but that's not one of our main use cases, right? So if you're running a Dapr agent, you could connect to it, through Dapr. You could do auth middleware with FastMCP. You could use FastMCP directly. You can use an LLM gateway. You can do it however you want. The main for Dapr agents is the workflow orchestration, the session management.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry. This was amazing. I loved it. I would love to talk to you more. I do have to drop, but I'm sure we'll connect some more. So thank you, Yaron. And it's a pleasure with all of you. Sorry, guys. Bye.
No worries. Thank you. Yeah, Rob, thank you sincerely for your time. Absolutely brilliant. Loved it. Was there anything else, not to keep you longer, but was there anything else you wanted to share that you wanted to have us bring back to the community? I would give you the floor. If not, yeah, thank you for everything. And will you be at KubeCon Amsterdam, I guess? Are you going to be speaking there?
Yeah, we will be.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. I'm going to try to make my way there as well. So definitely meet in person if I do.
Okay. No, nothing else for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Great to meet you. Great to meet you as well. And we'll see you around. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.